My name's Russ. I've been coming to the dwelling place for about three years, since 2014. Before I came to the dwelling place, I was battling a lot of isolation and anxiety, and some people will call it severe depression. I call it severe oppression. When I first came in here in 2014 in February, basically I could only go out about an hour in the morning for an hour in the morning every day. So just I was basically shut in my house. The bright lights would affect me. My eyes would go instantly closed. Hearing things, I would freeze up and my joints would lock up with thunder or car backfires or tea kettle whistles, and it was a scary time because I was in that situation from 2001 to 2013 at the end part of that. So I believe that sharing a testimony like this, where it took me less than 2 weeks to fully scrape away all of that huge mess. I had to be delivered of a lot of things. I had to have a foundation scraped off of me of bad teaching, that God isn't out to get me. He isn't punishing me. He didn't afflict me with this horrible seizure, anxiety, whatever you want to call it. These disorders that you get all the medications, and you get doctors who are telling you who you are and that you'll never be able to beat this, or that you'll be able to beat it, but you're gonna have to do exactly what they say. You're gonna have to come 3 or 4 weeks for therapy and hypnotherapy, and I can tell you that it's a lot easier to have faith in God, to show up at a place, at a church building, and to, when you walk in, and feel the peace overwhelm you, and to develop a trust with the leadership. I think to overcome isolation, to overcome depression, you need to develop a trust in your church body, and that trust is very important. I believe that too often we don't share our testimonies. We tend to take our testimonies and bottle them up and say, well, that's what I was, here's what I am now. But if your testimony runs parallel with your opportunity and they intersect, you have a beautiful spiritual moment, and those moments will help the church advance the kingdom. And that's what I want to do. As I want to advance the kingdom as well as I can. And so when I came into the dwelling place the first time, I was greeted like a brother, and it didn't take long for me to tear down walls that I built up for over a decade, because you don't get people coming up to you and saying that you're a child of God. It's very rare, at least in my own personal circumstance. I didn't have people coming up to me and saying, you are valuable in the kingdom, you are a child of God. It didn't happen. And had that happened earlier, I believe that I could have already been fighting hard for the kingdom. But I'm in a beautiful place right now. When I came in that one day, it was in late February, and our praise and worship team, they play loud, and it was a beautiful experience because at any other point I would have my earplugs in, my sunglasses on, I'd be holding my hands over my head. Sometimes my head would be in between my knees because it'd be so loud, and I'd be shaking like a little puppy. But when I came in that day, and I only had one earplug in for the first, I'd say, minute of one song, the lead-in song, and then it was just amazing. I just reached out and took it out and put it in my pocket, and I haven't used earplugs or sunglasses or any kind of other light blocker or anything, only when, wearing a hat out in the sun, but that's normal. So I've overcame a lot of sound and light and just scraped away all of that extra sensitivity that was blocking me from communicating. And I believe that communicating is a huge part of testimony. I'm not a very good, strong communicator, as you can tell. I've never been a very eloquent speaker, but I can tell you that Moses wasn't either, and that's okay. I believe that what further made me stronger is I had the opportunity to become a member of street ministry, and it's been a blessing. I had no foundation. Virtually everything had to be relearned, and I go out on street ministry and I watch our leadership at the dwelling place and how they sow into the community, and I was instantly fixated on what I had to do, because street ministry it's not for everyone, but it is for everyone. It's if you take away these walls and you take away all the distractions, the cars, everything that we use today to get distracted, there'd be a lot of talking amongst people, and I believe that we need to come back to a place where we greet people with holy kisses and just love on people. And testimony it bridges that it's just amazing. I went from being a mess to insecurities and not knowing who Jesus was. At one point, I believed that I had totally written off getting better. I had so many suicidal attempts on my life throughout from 2001 to 2006. I don't have enough fingers to count how many times I tried to harm myself in those days, and when you look back on that, and testimony is some testimony is hard to share, but without that pain and that allows endurance, you don't grow. You don't grow without sharing testimony. You don't grow with ignoring your testimony. I think you have to embrace it, and you have to love yourself for being strong enough to carry it out. So, and I believe that's probably a wrap. Just if it's one thing I wanted to share is that I'm still growing in my testimony. My testimony is still changing. It changes daily because there's a lot of things that I've been afraid to attempt, afraid to do, and I've actually became more intent with purpose on shedding a lot of negative thoughts that I've had over the course of my life, things that people say that I couldn't do because of my size, or because of the just the placement of where they want to put me, knowing that, you know, maybe if the enemy is like that, maybe if you keep this guy down, he won't rear up and give hell problems. And I believe that by sharing the testimony, we give all the credit to God, to Jesus, and we listen and we stay in tune to the Holy Spirit, and we find our place here, you know, and then once that place is firm and sound, we're able to bring a lot of others into the kingdom with us, and like-minded individuals can be in one mind, and that's a beautiful thing, I think. So.